So, still in Toronto.
Yep, our very last Sunday night.
Yeah, still in Toronto, very last Sunday night. Happens to be our wedding anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
So, our full 3 fans, I hope you appreciate us recording tonight. We may have 5 fans, actually.
There's a couple.
Anyway, we were in Welland yesterday, and we did some motorcycle moving. Well, we
Yep.
didn't, but somebody else did.
Rosalie is finally made it home.
So we have a full fleet of bicycles and a motorcycle. Actually, bar one. We've just got one to move.
My cruiser.
Yeah, which we'll get on with. As you probably gather, we've been struggling a bit with riding time. I mean, in a week, that will all change, hopefully. I mean, the weather will probably change, but we are hoping that once we move, even while settling in, we should get back to a bit more of a normal riding schedule, which will mean a few more podcasts.
Yeah, we have plenty to explore down in that neck of the woods, but it has been a bit tricky to allow ourselves the usual amount of time with all the other things on the docket. It's been unseasonably warm lately, like very unusually warm. We are into December, and it was, how many degrees was it on Saturday?
15, I think.
15 degrees above zero.
Yeah, it went from being hat and gloves in Toronto at the middle of the week to 15 degrees this weekend, which is nuts. I mean, it's just doesn't make any real sense. But
I'm not sure. I mean, I can definitely, recall getting the odd warmer or mild day in December, but 15 degrees, that's got to be a record.
yeah, this is what happened in England, though. It kind of did this, and then it got cold, and then it got hot, and then now there's no snow in the winter. We get snow at Easter, generally. Or they do, as I'm actually here now. So, with this in mind, we decided to try a different trail to do a bit of research. So we went to the Gerry Berkhout trail, which is on the edge of Welland, which I think is about 6.5 kilometres, something like that.
I think somewhere around 6. It's like a rail trail.
Yeah, so we went and did that, and so we went to the end and back, the end being Fenwick, or Fenwick. Well, one of the reasons we did it was we thought we might spot some mushrooms. We thought we might spot some mushroom places. And I was a bit curious to see, as it said, it was, in fact, I'm going to quote what the guy said about it. Gerry Berkhout is a former town councillor, current Fonthill Lions member. I guess he's passed away though, so this is slightly out of date. Previous Citizen of the Year and a member of the Royal Canadian Legion. This trail was an old Hamilton-Toronto-Buffalo rail line that the town purchased for $1. It was redeveloped by the town over the last 3 years. Gerry has been passionate about opening up the area for the public to experience its natural beauty. Now, the Welland end is a bit flat, but actually as you get closer to Fenwick or Fenwick, it is quite pleasant. And you do pass through quite a lot of wooded areas, don't you?
Yeah, I would say the whole way along you've got trees lining either side of you. Like you feel like you're in the woods through most of it. I mean, sometimes you could hear a little bit of traffic or a road nearby, and sometimes, you could even sort of peer through some of the trees to see an opening. But often it was thick woods on either side of you. So a bit of a mix, I would say.
Yeah, and if you don't venture anywhere off of it, so if you start at Welland and go all the way up to the end, there is a little bit of a wooded, like a loop, I suppose, a very small loop. But if you're kind of first day out, so that's our cat, first day out on your mountain bike, and you want to try a little bit of off-road and a little bit of cruising, you can cruise all the way up the rail trail, and then the little loop at the end in the woods has got a few routes and drops and jumps and things.
Bits and bobs.
Yeah, and then I did think there's a couple of spots. There's a lot of private don't trespass signs.
And I wondered who that belongs to and or for what purpose, because it, like you said, it looked like there was some trails through there. I wonder if it was hunting or what, really. For
And-
what purpose were those trails?
Yeah, and there's a couple of spots that you could definitely build some trails further up without anybody getting too upset. So as you get closer to Fenwick, there's a wooded area that's a little bit marshy in places, but there's already some start of some trails in there, and I don't know what for, but you could definitely... I mean, we will try and find the landowner and see if we can just do things properly, but even if not, you could easily just rake in a small single-track twisty trail through there. I don't think anybody would mind too much. Not that I'm encouraging illegal trail building, but...
Breaking the law.
who's to say
breaking
it's
the law.
illegal when
Nobody knows.
there's no sign? So, but yeah, and it would make it quite interesting if you could start at Welland, ride up that rail trail to warm up, then go and do a couple of loops of some nice blue single track, and then finish off and come back again. That could be a good
Yeah, I think a little
trip out.
family loop, something geared towards kids or beginners could be just lovely in there. There's it's quite flat, so
Yeah,
but you could build something of interest that would help out some newbies.
you could. And then as you go up the rail trail, there's a few little benches to sit on, I noticed.
There were.
And there's a nice little streamy, rivery thing that goes under the old railway, which we stopped and looked at. That kind of,
Oh yes.
which was quite pretty. But we didn't find many mushrooms, did we?
Not really any at all. I mean, we saw a few. We like to call them shelfies, polypores. And there was one other that I don't know. We never did even look into what it was. It was just
Oh, that
3 or
brown.
4.
Yeah, I should have sent you that. That was my fault.
It had gills and it was pretty old, but just a bit odd, like a small cluster, and I've never seen anything like it before. But we definitely spotted a few birch polypores and some turkey tails. But yeah, I would say we were hoping to find a couple of oyster mushrooms, perhaps. Again, the environment looked promising.
Yeah, and as it suddenly got mild, it was like, is this actually going to be, perfect or whatever?
But nothing. Not in the cards for that day.
But it could be a good spring spot, we thought, didn't we? Because there's some good mosquito breeding grounds that are swampy, which the mushrooms seem to quite like, I think.
Yeah, there definitely was water, as you said, some streams and some bit of kind of marshy moistness nearby. I did notice quite a few box elders, so I did wonder if it could be a different scene in the spring for dryad saddles.
Pheasant backs.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about buckthorn, or are we not talking about that?
Well, steer clear of buckthorn. There's a lot of buckthorn out there, and they will upset your stomach. Enough said.
Did find out, though, from Jessica that it's particularly good for rewilding sites and holding land together. So
Soil.
could be a good trail building plant, because it might help with just holding things together. But I guess we'll do some research and come back on that, because
I don't know if they will encourage you
interested.
planting anymore, though, as it is an invasive species.
True. But it has all kinds of properties that help cleanse soil, so I guess if it's an old industrial site, like a quarry,
Yeah.
it probably may do less harm than damage.
Good point.
We did see a lot of blue jays, didn't we?
We did see a lot of blue jays and a number of other smaller birds. Did you spot any, or were you able to identify any of those smaller suckers that I kept seeing darting around?
I saw a lot of starlings. But I don't know if that's what they call them in Canada. I should probably look that up. Yeah, I don't know what the North American name for a starling is.
Jamie's a bit of a wizard with his bird knowledge, I must say. He surprises me with, even without visually seeing birds, often just by hearing them, he can identify them. Is that Is that a little bit thanks to your father, John?
Yeah, I kind of got, I wouldn't say allowed because that sounds like it's mean, but I spent a lot of my time outdoors, and there was an assumption if you're going to spend time outdoors that you will at least have a broad understanding of the things that are around you, be that plants or birds or animals. So climbing a lot, I kind of know a fair amount of the mountain birds by sound as well as sight, and then a few others just as you do. So that's what we were seeing, the common starling.
Oh.
So in England they're known as the common starling, in Europe they're known as the European starling, and in North America they're simply known as the starling.
There you have it. All the starlings.
Yeah, they're interesting birds actually. They look really plain and dull until the light catches them, and then they've like got an oil slick kind of pattern on their feathers.
Greasy.
And they're the ones that do I've forgotten the word that they use. There's a special word. But starlings, what happens is they hang out in the fields all day in the winter or the autumn. And then in the evening they go to warmer places, so they either go to trees actually or they go into towns. And you have clouds of starlings that all manoeuvre and weave around while they're trying to find places to roost for the night. So it's a spectacular thing because you can get thousands and thousands, and I think they call it a murmuration.
Oh, a murmuration.
And if you look at starling murmuration online, you'll see, like in England in particular, I think they've even like done classical music to the murmurations and stuff. So yeah, and it always makes me smile when I see the big swarms of starling doing their thing.
Reminds me of all the bats at dusk.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's worth looking at. I might put a link to a murmuration video in the description for those of you that are interested.
I would be.
So
sounds like some sweet Sunday night viewing.
we had a nice time. For us, it was quite there you go. Murmuration of starlings. And I think they're in England. There's a few on YouTube. I'll send you one, and they do these like crazy dances. So it was a bit of a tame one for us, really. We did a little bit of off-roading. We're still going easy with Jessica's leg until the new year, probably. And we're in this weird transition, moving, but also we don't know whether it's spring or winter.
Well, hold up just a second there. We're going easy on Jessica's leg. Back up. Beep, beep, beep. We have big news. Or I have big news. This Saturday was my first ride in, we counted, I think, 6 months.
Yeah.
Since before Canada Day, which here is July 1st, that I rode without a boot. 2 shoes on my feet. It's a bit of a joke around here. Jamie often grabs my riding shoes for me, but for the last 6 months, or even only 2 or 3 rather, I of course have only needed 1 shoe because I've been wearing the boot on my other foot. So yesterday was the first time in ever so long that I got to don both shoes, and yeah, I would say it was the perfect ride actually for trying that out and still feeling quite vulnerable and being extremely cautious.
Yeah, and I would say on that, even the off-roady bit at the end, which is probably a green, even that was a little bit thought-provoking, wasn't it? There was a log roll and a couple of other things that...
Yeah, the log rolls I straight up just dismounted and walked over. I was not about to start messing about with any of that. Because even still on anything difficult or remotely sketchy, I would have my left leg down holding on my weight. Like pedals, I'm not quite again, like just riding straight I could do pedals flat, but going over anything bumpy, I don't trust my right leg just yet.
No, and there's no rush on that.
No.
That rail trail thing as well would be good if you had somebody with a hybrid bike or even a recumbent trike or something. It's a good surface, and it's an interesting ride. It truly is flat though, because I thought from the car to Fenwick was gradually uphill, and then I thought from Fenwick back to the car was gradually uphill.
Oh yeah, you did say when we got
'cause
to the end, you said, "Oh, it'll be
easier on the way back."
downhill from here." And I thought, I never know when it's a very gradual uphill.
Well,
most of the time I don't know.
It didn't climb much. It climbed 11 metres over 6 kilometres, which is nothing. But railway lines I've ridden on in the past often tend to be very gradually descending, but because of that you can pick up like a massive speed.
Yeah.
However, I didn't pick up a massive speed. I just got shouted at for not shouting loud enough at somebody, even though I slowed down, gave them a really wide berth and said, "Excuse me." Well, I still got told off, which was interesting.
He was a bit elderly. Perhaps he had some assistance for his hearing that he did not have with him. Who knows?
Anyway, apart from that, it was fairly incidentless.
It was a very pleasant ride, pleasant experience, as in not too many people. Like, it wasn't very busy at all. We did see a few people. Oh, one thing that was quite sweet that we kept seeing along the way, though, was that as we are getting closer to Santa's coming to town, as it's getting close to Christmas, there were a number of trees along the way, along the trail, that people had brought out Christmas ornaments and decorated out in the woods.
Yeah, that's true. And we saw like a bit of a Christmas parade, didn't we?
Looked like something was going on.
Something was about to start, which was excellent. So yeah. Anyway, I think this is going to be a bit shorter than normal. We wanted to do something, so this is it. It's a good place to go for a ride. Like you said, it's a good family ride.
Definitely. And some sections of woods that have some potential for building something else in, or...
And I think also it could be a good fat bike place as well, which you did comment on if there was snow.
That.
So...
And a future potential for a different season, some better luck for the foraging. Or you never even know, going back in a couple of weeks, what you might find.
Or at the weekend.
Yeah.
We shall see.
But definitely one to check, as I said, in the springtime. I reckon there could be some pheasant backs hanging about in there.
Okay, well, there's not much else to say then. I guess our next episode is going to be the one before Christmas.
Whoa. Whoa.
So,
well, until next time.
Get lost.